up? Welcome to Hangin with Stats, the official #1 episode of Hangin with Stats. Um, it's a new show that I am running alongside of the Stat Guy Show, um, and it's basically going to be a weekly review and Q&A about the most previous No Prep Kings race. I'm going to try to keep the show around 30 minutes. It's going to basically go over everything that happened at the most previous race, No Prep Kings race. Obviously, you see I post the stats all the time, stuff like that. I am going to take a lot of your questions. I just want to get through some things first. So if you have any questions, you can post them if you want, but otherwise save them towards the end. Like I said, I'm going to try to do this about 30 minutes long. So yeah, shout outs. I want to give some shout outs to my partners of the Stat Guy Show, partners of the page. Richard Carter, it was nice meeting you too, man. Yeah, my exclusive partners. I want to shout out No Prep Racing. You can follow them on Facebook. Rick is an awesome dude. www.noprep.com. Follow them. I was rocking a t-shirt, No Prep t-shirt all weekend. He's a great partner. And then also another partner of mine is Nate Saylor Racing. Shout out to Nate. He had an awesome weekend for his first official No Prep Kings qualifier, I guess you could say, the big boy league. Nate did awesome. So shout out to him. You can follow him on Facebook, Instagram, and Nate Saylor Racing. I also want to give a couple shout outs to some people who had some victories this weekend that will not be on TV, but they were flying. So I want to give a special shout out to Callie Mills. She won Outlaw Big Tire. Outlaw Big Tire is for the people who lose in the first round of the Invitational, or people who are not in the Invitational, they can race Outlaw Big Tire. So she won that. And then shout out to right here, wrong side, right here, Mike Chandler. Great dude. He won the Futures class. He beat out Paige Coughlin and Cole. You guys name something Cole. So shout out to Callie and Mike Chandler for their wins. I've also asked why I don't keep track of the other classes besides the Invitational and Grade 8. It's because I tried to last year, and I love the live feeds. I watch the live feeds. They give me when I can't make the race, they give me all the information I need watching the live feeds. Yes, Clay Cole. But the live feeds I follow don't always film those other races. They won't, I don't hardly ever see the 7-0 class. So sometimes, and not every time, but sometimes I do not see the Outlaw Big Tire on the live feeds, or I don't see the Futures class. So then that would cause me to call somebody or, contact somebody to find out the info. It's just a lot of messing around. And obviously I just want the most accurate stats possible. I don't really want to say on stats. So that's why I do not keep track of those stats, is because I cannot fully rely on the live feeds to show that. So, all right. So first race of the season, No Prep Kings season, was National Trail in Ohio. I attended the race. I attended one race last year, so this was only my second No Prep Kings race ever, and it was awesome, man. The whole event was awesome. You had the draft on Thursday, then you had Friday the first round of the qualifier, I guess you'd call it, the eliminator, and then Saturday the remainder 5 rounds of it. There was 40 cars for the qualifier. They got down to 1. Kayla Morton obviously was your winner. She was flying extremely fast all weekend. When I was watching the first couple passes, I like to watch from. I like to watch at the finish line. So I like to stand by the finish line to watch the races, because I get a really good tell of how fast somebody's going. And there were a couple cars throughout the whole day that I was watching that really caught my eye. They're being really fast. Kayla was one of them. I was there. My old man came with me because he's never been to anything Street Outlaws, so took him along with me. He had a blast. But so it was a couple of cars that I was like, I told my dad, I said, Kayla's really fast today. And Ryan's always fast. So it's just Ryan's always fast every time I see him. He's always one of those guys. But I could tell Kayla was really fast. And then someone like Kai, I was really impressed by how fast he was. I think he lost to Kayla by maybe a foot. It was hard to tell. I couldn't even. I had to look at the scoreboard. I think on that race because I couldn't tell with the naked eye. Um, but those two were flying. David Gates was flying. There was a lot of fast cars this past weekend. So that was cool to see. The competition was tough. As you see, some big names lost in the first round. You'll have that with the first race of the year. Everybody's still trying to get any bugs they had out, still trying to, see the competition, see what they have to run for that year. So, what's up, Josh? How you doing, man? Josh King. Hung out with him a lot this weekend. Great dude. Um, yeah, so the weather was hot as shit though. So I'm from Wisconsin. I live in Wisconsin, and it was in like the low 90s both Friday and Saturday, all day. And for me, that's hot because Wisconsin is the hottest we'll get in the summertime is like low 90s, but that's in like July. Okay, that's like as hot as we'll get. We're usually like in the 80s all summer. So it was a hot ass day for me. I drink a lot of water, lots of Gatorade. Um, but it was a great racing experience, man. Um, it was packed. Saturday was a grandstand was packed. There was people everywhere. Street Outlaws is such they put on such a good show. As far as the contact you can have with just even a general fan, the contact you can have with the drivers. I mean, you can sure there'll be some lines, but most of the drivers you can pretty much walk up to them during the when you guys get in the gates. You can go say hi. You can get autographs. You can see them. So the fan experience is awesome. It's great that way. National Trail, they have a great facility there. Um, Everything was laid out nice. Everything was easy to get to. Their food was decent. I've been to a track that I'll be going to in a couple weeks that the food sucked. So I was a little happy. I was a little happier with the food at National Trail for sure. I'm a food guy, but I recommend, man, if I recommend if you can make a No Prep Kings race this year, you need to go. You really need to go. It's an experience, drag racing experience you'll never experience, man. It's nothing like it. So um, shout out to Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings for putting on that first race and at Hebron. It was awesome. Um, I had a great time. Also, there's a million like I know they don't show it on TV, but there's a bunch of classes. Like it's just racing all weekend. There's a daily driver, there's 7-0 class, small tire, locals only, outlaw big tire, futures. I mean, there's grudge racing, testing. Like there's just racing going on the whole time. And then we got lucky in the first, and there was no like big oil downs, there was no crashes, no bad crashes or anything like that. So there was not too much. Richard, yeah, yeah. Um, there was not too many breaks. Like it wasn't too much downtime. So that was good. I'm sure Boosted enjoyed that too, because usually in the downtime, Boosted has to keep the fans entertained, which he did a little bit anyway, because he's great that way. But it was a good time. It was a good time for me as a stat guy. Got to meet a lot of the drivers I'd never met before. Got to hang out with great people like Richard Rowe and the whole Fireball crew. Um, and got to see some fans, meet some fans, take some pictures. It was just a great time. For me, it was awesome, and I recommend you guys go and do a race. Even if you guys, I drove 8.5 hours. It was worth it, man. It really was. So, you got a track close to you, go there, please. I will not be going to the race this week in Virginia. I have my kids, and then the following week in Minnesota, I will be going to that race. It's about 6.5 hour drive for me, so super excited to do that. Let's get into a little recap of week one, race one of the No Prep King season. First, we'll start with the draft. So Thursday night was the draft, the much anticipated draft. I'm going to pull up my stats here. Thursday was a much anticipated draft. It was cool being there at the draft, watching all of like the interaction between the drivers. There was a lot of funny moments. It really was. I hope when we see it on TV that they capture all those funny moments, because it really was. You really see the drivers in a different light during that, and a lot of those drivers are funny dudes in person. They really are. So it was good. It was good. So they decided the teams. Obviously, we found out everybody's been voting for the last like month. So they found out that Daddy Dave won the People's Choice vote. He was the 8th captain. So that was cool. and then they did a chip draw for the draft 1 through 8. So I'm just going to read off. I know you probably all know this, but I'm just going to do a little recap and read off all the teams. Maybe talk about what surprised me, what didn't surprise me. So I'll start with Bodie. Bodie was the captain. His first pick was Nate Saylor. Now, I love Nate Saylor. He is my guy, but I can't say I wasn't surprised by this pick. Nate had not raced in the Invitational last season. So I was a little surprised, but I will say that this whole offseason, I heard when talking around drivers and other No Prep Kings people, like Nate Saylor, his name came up a lot as being really fast and someone to watch out for this year. So a little bit surprising that he went that early. But it wasn't also at the same time, it wasn't that surprising that he was going to be on Bodie's team this year. As we go on the list of Bodie's guys he drafted, he drafted some Cali guys, which I figured he would. Bodie seems like a real good home style kind of guy. Like he's going to draft some of his friends or some of his teammates. So that was cool. So he drafted Nate Saylor was his first pick, and then he drafted the second pick, another Cali guy, Mike Bowman. Mike Bowman was flying, by the way, this weekend. He did so awesome. I think he got to the fourth round. I think he was 3-1. I believe. I'll look at the stats in a second. But yeah, Mike Bowman, I love his Chevelle. I'm a Chevelle. Chevelle's one of my favorite cars. Mike's got a beautiful one. He's got the only one on the circuit this year. So the second was Mike Bowman, and then he picked Bobby Ducati. It was nice to see Bobby get his first win. As you know, obviously Bobby struggled last year. He's in a new No Prep Kings car. And turn it up. Can't hear me or what? Hang on, just a second. Let me turn it up here. Video. How's that? Can you hear me better? Okay. Well, I just turned it up, so maybe I'm too loud now. Anyway, yeah, so Bodie's third pick was Bobby Ducati, and then his last pick was Dana Merchant. So Dana Merchant, love the guy. He was on the show. It was cool to see him get drafted because Damon had raced a couple of small futures last year, but he had never been in an invitational event, so he got drafted. He was the fourth pick by Bodie's team. And I believe, we'll look at the stats. I think Damon even won his first race. He did win his first race. So Bodie selected Nate Saylor, Mike Bowman, Bobby, and Damon Merchant. And actually, after the first race, Bodie's team went 6-5 on the day. So they were fourth best overall amongst all the teams. They went 6-5. With Mike Bowman going the farthest, I believe, on the team. Yes, Mike Bowman went the farthest on that team. Okay, so then there was another Captain Murder Nova. His first pick, which was not surprising. Seeing that Daddy Dave was a captain, won the 8th captain spot, I figured that Murder Nova would take Lutz with his first pick, and he did. And then the second pick was Chuck 55. He was flying this week. It was good to see him get a couple wins under his belt right away. He went out in the third round, I believe. Murder Nova's third pick was B-Rad. Love B-Rad. And Murder Nova's last pick was another futures guy from last year, Manny Alvarez. So in the first two teams, we have 3 future guys last year getting drafted that did not race in an invitational yet. So it was good to see that. Manny was on the show. He's awesome, dude. So Team Murder Nova. Actually, Murder Nova, I don't know if you guys have seen his new car. It's pretty cool looking. I love the red rims in the front. Front tires got red rims. You got a big old sponsor on the side. Now Murder Nova usually keeps it. You always kept it like pretty clean. I never saw any stickers or nothing on Murder Nova's car. I don't believe ever. He kept everything black, but it was cool to see the red rims. So shout out to Murder Nova for that. And as a team, they went 3-5. They didn't do too hot week 1. They went 3-5. But they got a lot of fast guys on that team. I think Chuck 55 went the farthest. Yes, he went the farthest on the team in the week one. Chuck 55. I see. If you got questions, save them for a little bit. All right, I'm just going to try to get through this stuff, this recap, and then I will definitely take all your questions if you have some. Mike Murillo's team. Mike Murillo, his first pick was not surprising at all. Scott Taylor. I called this pick from a mile away. I know him and Mike and Scott have been friends for a long time. I knew if Scott Taylor was available, that Mike Murillo was going to draft him. He did. Brandon James was his second pick. And then Mike went with his teammate, his sole teammate from last year, Team Texas. He went with Birdman. And then Mike, his fourth pick was Randy Williams in his new Challenger. Beautiful, beautiful car. Awesome. And Randy Williams is back after missing, I believe he didn't race not one race last year. He was pretty consistent in season 4, making the races, but I don't think he raced at all last year. So Mike's team was Scott Taylor, Brandon James, Birdman, and Randy Williams. As a team total, they were tied for second. They had 7 wins and 5 losses. And as you know, Scott Taylor went to the finals. So he led the team for the wins at the first race. Another captain was Disco Dean. He had the first overall pick. If you watch the draft, you'll see Disco made jerseys for all the guys and stuff like that. I won't give too many details away, but it was a good time. Disco put on a show for sure. He's definitely a good character. he knows how to act, I guess you could say. So Disco had first pick. He picked Jerry Bird, his brand new Mustang he's got. Beautiful car. I love that blue. It's cool. It's weird to see Jerry Bird in a different kind of car because I've seen him in the pro, both his No Prep Kings and his Street Pro. I mean, he's been a pro for a long time. So weird to see that. And then Disco's second pick was a future guy from last year. Had not raced in an invitational yet, and that was Marty Robertson. He has a beautiful Cuda. Love the color. It's like a turquoise, I guess you could say, or like aqua. I don't know. It's a cool looking car. Disco's third pick was Larry Larson, and his last pick was another futures guy from last year, Greg Chandler. So out of the first 4 teams I've talked about, there have been 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of the first 4 teams I've talked about, 5 future guys were drafted automatically into the invitational. 5 guys who've never raced an invitational before were drafted. So that tells you a lot about just kind of tells you a lot about how fast those guys were last year running that futures class. That 5 of them got drafted up into the big leagues, I guess you could say. So Disco's team did not do very hot this weekend. They struggled, a lot of first round losses. Their team went 1-5, and I believe the only person to win a round for them was Larry Larson. Larry Larson won the first round. So another team we had was Daddy Dave. Daddy Dave picked Kayla Morton, which I had called that one too. I know they're friends, and I heard they tested together. So I just kind of figured them testing together, Dave's probably going to pick Kayla if she's available. And he did. So his first pick was Kayla. Second pick was Axeman. Crazy fact, Axeman was not in his car, his own black Nova. He was not in it this weekend. I don't know if he's going to race it at all. He actually raced Stephen Brindle's Game Changer car, the new style Mustang. He even put the axe on the back of it, like the axe has on his car. So that was pretty cool. Different to see Axeman in that car, because I could never picture him in anything else but the Nova. But so he was Dave's second pick, and then that's 6 now, 6 future guys. Another guy, Kyle Canyon. He raced in almost damn near every futures event last year. He made almost the whole season, I think. So shout out to him, futures guy getting drafted. And then with Dave's last pick Brody Melton. I want to say their strategy was to pick teammates, tuners, stuff like that. I know Kayla and Kyle, I believe, share the same tuner. I'm not sure if Brody does or not, but anyway. So as a team, they had the most. Dave's team was the highest, obviously, with Kayla going all the way to the finals and winning it. She represented strong. Dave made it, I think, to the third round. I want to say. Dave knew Audie she was going good. X-Man won the first round. So shout out to Daddy Dave. As far as wins go, they won the first week for the team competition, just in wins. Team competition hasn't really started yet, points wise, but for wins it did. This is not the order of the draft. I am just recapping the teams. Team South David. Yeah, basically, Kev. You might need to turn your volume up if you can't hear me. Some people say they can hear me, so I'm not going to adjust it anymore. I'm already louder than I do my shows. So, all right. Another captain was Justin Swanstrom. His first pick was Jim Howe. His second pick was Callie Mills, who was a teammate from last year. His third pick was John Odom. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it. I think people just need to turn the volume up a little bit. Something. So third pick was John Odom, and then the fourth pick was Tony McKinney. So as you can see, if you know anything about the combination they run, this whole team is screw blowers. Yep, Ed Evans, there you go. Nice to meet you, Ed, by the way. Team Swanstrom was all screw blowers. I think on paper, as far as how they finished last year, if you went by how they finished last year as a team, they would be the fastest team coming into this year. Obviously, each year is different, but on paper, they look very, very strong for this season. So week one, they struggled a little bit, though. They were dead last. They 1-5. Jim Howe was the only one on the team to win in the first round. And even at that win, he pedaled pretty bad. He was going right towards the wall, and he let off and got back into it and won. I don't remember who he beat, but sorry. Hey, Misty, how you doing? I am not, unfortunately. I will be going to the Minnesota race, though. Another team captain was Kai Kelly. This was interesting because I don't know who he was going to pick. If Lizzie had won the People's Choice captain, but instead she didn't win, so I knew obviously Lizzie was going to be his first pick. And then he stuck with Nola again, Team Nola, and he drafted his buddy David Gates. They're like best friends. That's not a surprising pick for me. Gates is fast. And then their fourth pick, they drafted Bodie Jr. I'll go back. I guess it was a little surprising that Bodie Sr. did not draft Bodie Jr. when he had a couple opportunities to do it. Their little interaction back and forth was kind of funny. But anyway, so Kai picked up Bodie Jr. And then his last pick was Chris Rankin, who actually didn't even race at all last year. So this is Chris Rankin's first time in No Prep Kings, I believe, ever. He was the fourth one drafted on Kai Kelly's team. Shout out to Chris Rankin. Got a brand new No Prep Kings car. It was looking good. So Kai drafted Lizzie, David Gates, Bodie Jr., and Chris Rankin. As a team, they did really well. They were tied for second. They went 7-5. Kai, like I said, Kai lost to Kayla in the third round, I believe, by like a foot, maybe even less than that. Gates made it, I believe, to the third or fourth round. So strong showing from Kai Kelly's team for sure. And then last but not least, Ryan Martin's team. Ryan Martin, with his first pick, drafted Robin Roberts. I called that one too. Not surprising. They're good friends. They have the same combo this year. So Robin went first to Ryan, then Ryan drafted Giuseppe Gentile. Man, that Gucci Nova is one beautiful looking ride. Obviously I love black and red, so that one does it for me. But Giuseppe is extremely fast this year. You got to watch out for Giuseppe, man. He is going to be up there. His third pick was Rich Bruder. There was a kind of a funny interaction between him and Rich. You'll have to see when the show comes out, but hopefully they show in the draft. It was a good time. And then his Ryan stuck with 405 and picked Chuck Seitzinger with his last pick. Okay. The volume is great. Perfect. So Ryan's team was Robin Roberts, Giuseppe, Rich Bruder, and Chuck Seitzinger. As a team, they were in the middle of the pack, I believe. Yeah, they're tied for fourth. They went 6-5. Ryan went the farthest on the team. Ryan went to the fifth round, fourth round. Yes, Ryan lost fourth or fifth round. Can't remember because he had a bye. Fifth round. Ryan lost in the fifth round. And then Robin went 2 rounds, I think. Giuseppe went 2 rounds. So it was a good show, pretty good showing by their team as a whole. I'd say the most surprising thing of the whole draft, I believe, was the fact that 2 things really. The fact that many future guys were drafted. So certain guys, there were some certain guys that, from what I can remember, that weren't drafted. Like Doc was not drafted. John Wilhoit was not drafted. Dave Atkins was not drafted. As far as the veterans go, I don't know if there's anybody else that was there that wasn't drafted. There's a couple of future guys who I didn't know that didn't get drafted. That was about it. Monza was not there, obviously. Not sure. I don't think Monza's going to be racing this year. No Prep Kings, at least not right now. Dominator was not there. I have not heard if he's going to race No Prep Kings. I think he is. Pretty sure he is. I think he just had to miss the first race, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Oh, yes, Reaper. Reaper was there, too, as well. He also did not get drafted, but Reaper. So the guys, so what I understand, the guys who didn't get drafted, whether you're a futures guy from last year or you're a veteran in No Prep Kings, you go into like a reserve pool. And I think at some point, team captains will be able to release guys or bring up guys from the reserve pool to race for your team. So in the meantime, Richard wrote part issues. Yeah, I thought that's what I saw. I know. I'm not saying I wasn't saying that Dom's not coming. He's for sure coming. I think he was just missing the first race, maybe this race. I don't know, but anyway, so for the reserve pool, I guess they can still race an Outlaw Big Tire. They can still race in the futures class, stuff like that. Take some grudge races, so they can still race their car every weekend when they come. So it's not like a total waste where they just don't go to an event or they can't race. But they can get their races in Outlaw futures. So, yep, that's true, Ed. Will Hoy did go home after the races. Not sure if he's coming back, but like I said, so there were 7 new guys this year drafted that have not raced in the Invitational. So that's cool. It's kind of like I don't know, I guess maybe changing of the guard. But this new team format definitely has made some waves already. In the draft, this draft and team format has changed the waves already in No Prep King. So it's cool. It's a cool thing. All right, let's talk about the race, the actual race itself. So it was just like last year, the first, I think every year, or at least since they started doing Race Your Way In, the first race is a non-points race. It's always 40 cars or more. That it's basically elimination. So it started on Friday night. They did the first round Friday night. And trying to read the comments here. We started first round Friday night. The first round was Friday night, and the top 20 who won there, 20 people moved on. They are automatically in the Invitational for this Virginia race. The 20 who lost in the first round on last weekend will have to race their way in to get into the Invitational race for this weekend. So that was a lot of dudes, 20 dudes that got to get their way. Some fast guys. There were some very, very fast guys. I had talked about this with drivers coming into the season, that competition is so high that you don't want to be racing your way in every week because it's tough, man. It's a tough way to go. So shout out to the 20 guys who won first. They're automatically in. From what I understand, there'll be the grade 8 and Invitational, just like last year. Not sure how the points are all going to add up or work. I believe the winner of the grade 8 on Friday night will be I think the points will gather throughout the season for the grade 8, and there'll be an individual champion, like a grade 8 champion. I was going to block Richard Rowe, I think, from my live feeds. So Friday night's going to be like a normal grade 8. I believe it's going to be the top 8 in points from during the season. I don't believe it's like the previous top 8 from the previous race. I think it's just like last year. I think everything's going to be like last year. Now, I've heard a lot of comments and questions. I think some people are confused about the team because it's such a team event. It's individual. On Saturdays, like the individual. You still have someone who's going to win it all. It's basically they're earning points for their team instead of for themselves. I guess you know what I mean. They're earning points for themselves and their team. So that's it. Basically, your team is going to add up all your points. So if you have a team of 5 guys, however you guys finish, however many points you earn in Invitational on Saturday, that's your total team score. Obviously, I don't know exactly. I don't know the exact rules as far as points go. I should have a better idea this weekend when it starts. Obviously, I'll be keeping track of points too. But the first week was just a qualifier, I guess you could call it. There's a lot of awesome racing going on. Let's look at who won and lost. First round winners from on Friday night were Bobby, Jim Howe, Chuck 55. He looked fast this weekend. Got a new paint job on his car too. It's red and white now. Lizzie. You know what's funny? I'm gonna make this comment. It's funny how Lizzie announced, having her cancer, and there was a lot of haters and a lot of people saying she shouldn't race. She's not gonna be able to race. Blah 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 blah. Like there was nothing changed for Lizzie. She was flying. She was fast. She was out there. She won the first. I think she lost to Ryan in the 3rd round, I believe. So Lizzie had a good weekend already, and she's back to normal. I mean, it's normal Lizzie Musey racing. So shout out to her. For the haters that didn't think she could do it, you're clearly wrong. So Giuseppe won. Damon Merchant won, got his first career win. Damon Merchant. Birdman won. Nice to see Birdman get a win. I always root for Birdman. He was dominant. He was so dominant. He's had the most dominant. I love Ryan Martin. He's the best. But Birdman probably had the most dominant season out of all 5 seasons so far. I mean, the dude won 4 out of the 9 races. He missed a race. Like he was just so dominant season 1. So it's good to see Birdman get a win because he's been on the struggle bus for a while now. Murder Nova, he got a win. Scott Taylor won. Robin Roberts won. Mike Bowman was flying this weekend. He won. Larry Larson got himself a win. Shout out to my boy Nate Saylor, partner of the show. He got his first career win. Was happy. Could put him in the stat sheet now. Daddy Dave got a win. Brandon James got a win. Brian, of course, won. David Gates was flying this weekend. He won. Kayla won. Kai Kelly. You know what? There was a lot of people questioning if Kai was going to be able to get his handle on the screw blower, and if he was going to be any good, and if he was going to struggle right away. Tell you, man, he lost. He was one of the fastest guys on the property this past weekend. You know, there was probably 3 or 4 guys who I thought to win it, and Kai was one of them. And he was flying him. His screw blower, man, he was fast. So shout out to Kai. I don't see any drop off. I knew there wouldn't be. You've seen it with all. If you're a fast driver, if you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter what combination you run. You're going to be fast at it. So shout out to Kai. He won in the first round. And then Axeman. Axeman won in the first round. And from what I've known, what I've been told, Axeman is going to be at every race this year. He's going to be racing every race. So full time. Finally get to see Axeman racing full time, which is cool. Second round. So those are the guys who made it to past the first round and qualify for this weekend's race already. Second round, David Gates beat Giuseppe. 2 really fast guys. That was a close race. Giuseppe talked to him after. He was sleeping on the light a little bit. But Gates is fast. Gates got around him. So Gates beat Giuseppe. Daddy Dave beat Larry Larson. Kayla beat Bobby. Scott Taylor beat Axeman. Mike Bowman took out Jim Howe. Robin Roberts beat Murder Nova. Chuck 55 beat Brandon James. Ryan Martin beat Birdman. Lizzie beat Damon. And Kai Kelly had a really extremely close race with Nate Saylor. Nate was one of the faster guys on the property too. And they had a close race. So there was a funny call out. Actually, I won't ruin it. We'll say you guys can see it on the TV. I won't ruin it. I try not to ruin as much TV stuff. Like obviously, I post the stats and I give the results and all this stuff, but you got to save a little bit of the TV stuff that you know you want to see later on when they air it. So the third round, the sweet. What do you have at this point? 10 cars left. 10 cars remaining. Kayla beat Kai in the closest race, I think, of the day. I believe, from when I was standing at the finish line. I couldn't tell. I had to look at the scoreboard to see who won. Scott Taylor took out Chuck 55. David Gates beat Daddy Dave. Mike Bowman beat Robin Roberts. And Ryan Martin beat Lizzie Musey. There was some comments online about Ryan was messing with Lizzie or something like that, but no. So I was there. So what happened was Lizzie and Ryan came up to the burnout boxes, and the track wasn't clear yet. So I'm not sure if Lizzie was supposed to do a burnout or not, but Ryan did not do a burnout. He was waiting for the track to get clear. Lizzie did a burnout, came back, and then they was just sitting there waiting for the track to get clear at the big end. I think the race before, someone didn't make it off the track, I believe. So there is waiting. So Ryan waited, and then once he got the okay to come in, then he did his burnout and everything. Well, at that point, Lizzie can't do another burnout, so she, anyway, it was in no way Ryan trying to screw Lizzie over at all. That's just basically what I wanted to get out, is that it was a fair race. Lizzie just did a burnout too early. I don't know if one of her crew people didn't see it, that there was something at the track or what, but she did it early, but Ryan took that win. Anyway, so round 4. Well, this is where the buys started, because when you start with 40, they don't normally start with 40, but when you start with 40, you're going to give some odd numbers in there when you get towards the end. So round 4, Ryan earned the buy, but Kayla Morton beat David Gates, and Scott Taylor beat Mike Bowman. So it was at this point, I mean, you're looking at the fastest guys out there: David Gates, Kayla, Scott, Mike, and Ryan. I mean, they're the top guys, man. They earned those wins for sure. So then round 5, Ryan couldn't get the bye anymore, because once you get the bye, you can't get it again. So round 5, Kayla actually got the bye, and Scott raced Ryan. Scott beat Ryan Martin. I wasn't sure if Ryan hit the wall or not. I actually didn't ask him or ask anybody. It looked like he was coming really close to the wall, and he had to let out. It's unfortunate. I know Scott ran a great race, and then round 6, Kayla beat Scott in the finals. Okay, Richard, he did not. Okay, so Ryan saved it right before the wall. It was close, man. I tell you that. Kayla beat Scott in the finals. So Scott actually when you have 40 cars, somebody's gonna be racing 6 times. So Scott was the one to race this 6 times. And I will say early on, maybe round 2 or 3, Scott was at the line and he was smoking. I mean, the race hadn't even started yet, and there was a lot of smoke, like unnatural, like it didn't seem right. But he went right down and won that race, and then he came up to the next round, and it seemed like his car was fine again. So I don't know what's going on with Scott. I think Scott was having some issues, but it was nice to see Scott had to go 6 rounds. He was the only one who had to race that many rounds. I mean, Kayla and Ryan both getting a bye. So, but shout out to Kayla, man. She was fast. She was really fast. She was the best one that weekend, and she got the win. So it was a great weekend of fast cars, awesome races. Before I get off here, before I start taking your questions or what you want to talk about, you can start posting them now. If you got any questions or anything you want to ask me, I'll stay on for a little bit yet. Hey, Bob, how you doing, man? Bob Rice. Shout out to Bob Rice, No Prep Felons. Follow it on Facebook, No Prep Felons Live, and on YouTube, No Prep Felons. Bob goes a lot of no prep events, not just Street Outlaws. Does a lot of the other no prep events, and he does an awesome job. So Virginia this week, like I said, I will not be on the race this week, unfortunately, but I will be trying to catch it on a live feed. There's a bunch of them out there. Check them out. I know Upshift Upshift does a live feed on YouTube. Check him out. Also, Hollywood Don Will. He will be live feeding. I don't believe his car is ready to go yet, so he should be live feeding this week. I'll be following along with one of those guys live feeds. But if you can make the race, if you're close to Virginia, if you are within like 8 hours of Virginia, I would 100% suggest go to the race. It's way better than watching a live feed. Get to experience it, meet your favorite driver. I mean, they're pretty accessible. They're all nice. They'll all talk to you, take pictures with you, get autographs, do it, buy some merch. A lot of these guys spend a lot of money doing this, as you know, and especially the smaller guys, like some of them rely on that merch. Some of them, like, that merch really does help them, kind of finances their program from week to week. So get there, watch yourself some good Street Outlaws racing. I do have a fun fact. I always do the stats right. So the last 2 seasons, there's been a race in Virginia, and Kai Kelly has won both times. So season 4 they raced in Virginia, Kai won, and season 5 they raced in Virginia, Kai won. So Kai Kelly this week is going for 3 in a row at Virginia. Fun little fact there. Another one is that I was actually supposed to do a show tonight. Had to reschedule, so I'm doing this show instead. But I hope to have a driver on tomorrow night. I will confirm in the morning. So tune in tomorrow night for the Stat Guy show, and I should have a driver on. But I'll announce it probably sometime in the morning who's coming on. So questions? Anybody got any questions? Let's scroll up a little bit. Stats, are you going to answer Richard's question from earlier or what? I don't remember what Richard's question was. Do I think Kyle will win? Well, based on the statistics, he's won 2. So probability is, and I believe they've only raced at Virginia twice, I think. Probability is he would win, yes. Statistics says he should win. I'll say that. Who do I think is going to win? I can't give you that opinion. I'm trying to be a neutral party here. No questions? Don't we got any questions? Who surprised you the most last weekend? Who surprised me the most? I guess. I don't mean it disrespectful at all. Just David Gates. David Gates surprised me, man. He's on point right now. I know when I had him on the show, he was going to go with the Musi motor, but he's not. He has a Buck motor, 959 Buck in there. And he went rounds. He went to the 4th round. Gage was flying. And, not that he's not a fast guy, right? But you gotta remember, he raced in 3 different cars last year. Never really got to, like, get comfortable, get a kind of a program going, So he surprised me. But I love him, man. David Gates is a really cool dude. If you go to any races, make sure you go talk to him. He's the nicest, coolest dude out there. You know why Tucson isn't a track this year? I do not. Penny's still asking me on your test post from earlier, Chris. Ooh. But who was the biggest surprise for not going down? It's a race. It's the first race, man. Like, some guys just aren't going to be ready to go. I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean, like, there's still bugs to work out. Some guys got a lot of testing in. Some didn't get hardly any testing in. So I wasn't really surprised that nobody, if anybody lost in the first round. Big names losing the first round every year. So, and in my opinion, the first round is the hardest race of the year. There's literally 40 cars. To win it, you got to race. You got to have luck, and you got to be able to win 6 rounds. So it's a tough first race. First race tough is you don't know how your competition is exactly yet. You don't know how your car's ironing out yet. So wasn't really surprised that anybody struggled. If anybody struggled at it, it didn't really surprise me. First race. Coming to Bowling Green. I am not coming to Bowling Green. I'll have my kids that weekend. What's up, AB? I did meet Sean. Was Kamikaze in attendance? I don't believe so. I did not see him. How did the blower boys? Is that what if you mean Justin Swanstrom's team, they went 1-5. They struggled a little bit week 1. But just week 1, Richard Rowe, just week 1, man. How much nitro is Jim running this year? You'd have to ask Jim. I bet he's got a good answer for you. Pro Charger guys did really well this weekend. Let's see. That's a good stat, actually. Everybody always wants me to keep track of combo stats. I don't. So this is one more thing for me to keep track of. Everybody wants me to do more work, but so Lizzie won. She's a Pro Charger. Scott took second. He's a Pro Charger. Mike Bowman tied for third, Pro Charger. Ryan Martin tied for third, Pro Charger. Dave, Pro Charger. Robin Roberts. Yeah, I mean, what does Chuck 55 run? Anybody know what Chuck 55 runs? Is he a Pro Charger too? I know he's not nitrous. Like he used to always be nitrous, but I know he's not nitrous anymore. Must be Pro Charger because I didn't see a big old thing sticking out. I'd say the Pro Chargers did pretty well this year. This first race, they're pretty much most of your top 10. Who's my dark horse? Oof, it's so early to decide that, man. But my dark horse, unexpected. I got a shout out my boy Nate Saylor, man. He lived up to the hype that first race, man. I know he lost in the second round, but he lost by this much to Kyle. I mean, it was a close ass race. So I'd say my dark horse probably Nate Saylor. Misty Young. Let me scroll up once, see if I can catch your question here. I don't see it, Misty. Can you post it again? Why do you think Will Hoyt wasn't picked? Not quite sure. I don't know. Who's the best looking car? The best looking car, I mean, I love Ryan's camo wrap. It's pretty slick. I also love Marty Robertson's car. His Cuda, his color of his car is awesome. I'd say those two. Who do I think is the team to beat for the championship? So early yet, man. I don't know. On paper, right? If you went off last year, Swanstrom team should be the team to beat on paper. But the way the Pro Chargers are running race 1, I know they can change rules. So we'll see. You can change rules mid-season or every 3 weeks or something. I don't know. It'll be tough to say. Tough to say. I just know that you can always count on the top guys to be there at the end. So if you got a team of top guys, Ryan's team, Swanstrom's team, Dave's. I mean, they're all fast, man. All these teams are fast. All the teams got some hitters on there that can win a race. So it's tough to say. It's too early to pick a champion right now. How was it after the teams were made with the dynamics that were in groups? For the most part, everybody was laughing and stuff, but you could see it was tense. The draft was tense. Those guys standing over there as draftees were pretty nervous. Some of those guys were just pacing back and forth, moving back and forth. You could see. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It reminds me of playing sports, especially like pickup basketball or whatever. They're picking teams. You don't be the last one. You're just waiting your turn to get picked. So Justin Shoots come out early. I don't know. Do you think anyone should have been picked over Birdman? I don't know. I think everybody was picked for a reason. I'm not gonna sit here and say someone shouldn't have been picked. I think they all should have been picked. They all have their own reasons of why they should have made it on a team, even if they weren't. So Birdman got a first round win. Who's my early pick this year to win it all? The statistics tell me that Ryan Martin should win his 4th championship in a row. That's what the stats tell me. If Scott Taylor Motorsports wasn't hurting, would he have beat Kayla? I don't know. I didn't know. I don't know if he was hurting. He could have been. It's tough to say. I don't really do like what ifs, right? I don't really know. Well, if this guy would have been this or this guy would have been that. I don't know. All I know is he didn't beat Kayla, but he was very fast. He was very fast, and like I said, early on, it looked like he was maybe hurting. Maybe he was the whole time. I don't know, but for that race, I'm not sure. How did Doc look? Did I see Doc? I saw Doc make the locals only pass. That was it. Pretty much, I was around a lot. Being that it was my first race of the season, I wanted to meet all the guys. I pretty much watched. I watched all the main event stuff. I watched some of the Outlaw Big Tire and the features, but I didn't really catch too many of the grudge races and stuff like that. Yeah, no kidding, Misty. Screwblower. Chuck 55 is a screwblower. Is he? Man, I didn't even notice that. Okay, thank you. I thought. Okay, I guess he does have a big old thing sticking out of his head. Okay, what do we got here? Who's nuts am I hanging on, Richard? I try to be as equal as possible, man. I just go, you know what's an easy cop out for me? I don't have to make my personal picks. I can just say based on the stats, this guy should win. Or based on the stats, I like this guy. That's my cop out. So I don't have to give my actual opinion. What does a Pro Charge car with 526 cubic inch or bigger motor have to weigh? I have no idea. Kevin? Trying to get me in trouble or something? I don't know. All I'll say about the whole Kayla thing is I don't have any facts. I am not an insider guy with facts, so I don't have an opinion on it. All I know is she won the race. Reaper's paint job. Is that a paint job or a wrap? Probably a wrap. Could be a paint job. Yeah, Reaper's car looked pretty cool. Got to speak to Reaper a little bit. He's a nice guy. Best looking car, I think I answered that earlier. Probably Ryan with the camo with the young Dolph camo wrap, or Marty Robertson. Do you think it would be cool if they did another draft mid-season? Oh, that can't be a serious question. No, no more drafts. That was it. I don't even know how that would work, Richard. Are the guys not picked? Who do you think will be picked up first, and who's getting dropped off the team? Are the guys not picked? I would say we're going to see Doc on a team this year for sure. Once Dominator comes back, I'm sure we'll see him on a team too. So those two guys for sure, I think will be on teams. Reaper was making some passes too, so he's there, and I know he's committed. So it wouldn't be out of the question to see Reaper on a team as well. Can they trade? I don't know for sure. I don't want to speak on something I don't know about. Can we quickly pull up Birdman stats from last year? I don't have those on me right now. Sorry. It's funny. A lot of the fans think I just have these stats like available to me like that. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I have them. I just can't really pull them out of my pocket and tell you who won season 2, race 1 or something like that. Someone wants to hear their stats. Yeah, it was cool, man. The fans were so nice. Thank you, Joshua Hawkins. Appreciate you, man. Just trying to catch up on the questions. It looks like it's about it. Ryan's rap. Yeah, if you see Ryan's rap in person, check it out, man. It's cool. But anyway, one last time, I want to tell you guys, thanks for following me. Appreciate it. I'm going to do this kind of show weekly, do a little recap of the first race, answer your questions, stuff like that, just because it's really hard to get drivers for interviews during the No Prep King season. But hopefully I'll have one tomorrow. So look for it in the morning. I'll post it in the morning. If Mad King, do I race anything else? No, I do not race. I am just a fan. I'm actually a football guy turned drag racing fan. So don't want to talk football ever with me, I'll be game to do that too. But again, thanks for following along. If you can make a race this year, you can make Virginia, make it, man. If you can make a race within driving distance, 6-8 hours, go. Please do it. You'll have a blast. But again, thanks, y'all. Have a good night. I will see you later.